Welcome, beautiful soul tribe, and welcome to these Canadian beautiful beings. We have Robin Nordling and Leah Wald, or we've decided it's Leah Wild because she is just a wild goddess doing her thing on earth. How are you both today?
Doing really well, yeah. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, it's an honor.
And it's equinox time. It's actually it's Thursday morning for us here in Australia, so Wednesday evening for you both. How are you experiencing the equinox energies?
Oh, that's a great question. I do feel that there's a page turning of the old and the inspiration for the new coming in. So I'm really excited to make that transition in the year. It feels as though the consciousness is going down south of the heart. So now we're getting into the lower chakras, and the healing is going to take place there for the flame to really seat, right? So yeah, I'm feeling good about this fall. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, well, we're coming into our spring here, so everything is blossoming and blooming, and I love having friends on the other side of the earth because we've got that automatic contrast, and I've been really delving into what it means, what that code or that sacred geometry of yin yang means. So I feel like between the two of us, from the North Pole and the South Pole, we're in that equal balance all the time with each other. So we get to share this wisdom and this insight. You're going into fall, we're going into spring, and how we can sort of dance along together and rejoice in what's happening. And our theme for today is about abundance, the abundance code, and we're really going to break down what that means, but in a very simple sense. Our natural birthright is abundance. We look at Mother Nature, we look at the animals, the bird life, we look at all the codes around us, and there simply is always enough. We will always be given what we need in every single now moment. And when we anchor into that wisdom, it's just our reality. What happens, though, of course, is that the humans have this incredible technology, incredible gift of free will. So they get to have choice, which means they can sometimes go the low road or the high road, depending. And both are equal and both are important, because when we go the low road in terms of limitation, saying there isn't enough, I'm not enough, where's the next bit of money coming from, then we learn through that vibrational space that we create that is what is attracting lack or limitation to us.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to play with the imagination. And even if we don't believe it, we say, I am abundant, there is enough. My business is going to turn over $1 million this year. And then your ego voice says, oh, surely you jest. And you're like, no, we're doing this. And so you kind of have this internal game with yourself, and you have to play in that imaginative field until it becomes your reality. And I can definitively say, after 23 years of running my health and playing these games with myself, that it's absolutely true. And all the basic things when it comes to manifestation do work. People are always looking for the next great manifestation tool, but it really is just getting back to basics. Writing down a wish list, doing a vision board, whatever small ritual that you can do, and then add your frequency to it every day, it does become your reality. I remember for me, when I first got into business and I wasn't doing very well, and my beautiful wise mum, who Leah knows, and I know, Robin, you've tuned in with her as well, you were saying, and she just said to me, you've got to repeat over and over, there is always enough, there is always enough. And
So
I did.
wise.
Everything turned around for me, and 23 years later, we've got multiple studios, multiple online programs, we're international, there's always enough. Sometimes I'd say there's too much, and I'm like, just slow it down, universe. Now, for you guys, Leah, you're a professional dancer, so you've been out there and in the performance arenas, you're in the consciousness arena now. Robin, also a consciousness teacher. Really, Robin, from chatting to you, you were born very awakened and have delved into many different pathways.
Mm-hmm.
Your business, along with the beautiful galactic Greg. Hi, Greg. I can see you watching, and it is Spirited Rebirth and Herbal Healing. So tell us about your business, first of all. Tell us about your vision, and let's then break down more about what abundance is and how we can manifest and magnetize that to ourselves.
Yeah, it'd be a pleasure. And thank you so much for having us, Carrie. This is a great honor, and you're a true inspiration. Yes, and the vibration that yourself and your mother and your guests conduct into this world have really resonated with my heart. So it's a pleasure.
You're such a pillar of strength. Like when I think of you, I feel like I came because Carrie said, I'm going in, you know, she's like, I'm going into the human world and we're going to do this. And I was like, you're going, I'm going, you know.
Should I apologize now, Leah? Or we're just going to keep celebrating? I'm like, yes, we're doing this. We're in 3D. What?
It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's
no,
so
and
worth
I
it.
just, you know, I just look to you as that beacon of light. And I think that's just what we're all here to do. And I think I guess my message tonight about abundance is it's just time. You know, it is time for us to truly step into who we came here to be, and take off the glasses of the perceptions and the beliefs that are blocking essentially your, you know, and creating these limits, because there is no limit. As you were just saying, you know, as soon as you let go, it just starts to flow. And then, you know, why put a cap on it? Why would we come here with our godly nature and have that that, you know, not every aspect realized of what we could achieve, right?
Repress it due to a false virtue, an idea that through repressing it, you're somehow honoring the God that wants you to succeed and be you. So you drag your heels and say no, and dig them in and say, no, I don't want that. I want to pretend I'm not worthy. So yeah, our spirit guides and higher aspect of consciousness is just kind of like, okay, one day, hopefully they'll believe in themselves. And really that's where it started for me. It was belief in self. I understood it wasn't what I attained in life. It was the doubts that I confronted and found myself overcoming. So it was really nice to have a father that said, oh, you can't do that, or don't even try. That's not worth it, because he's very analytical. And so I'd be like, okay, well, I would ask myself, is it true? And the only way I would know is if I tried. So I would try, expecting that what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to prove it to be true, and then okay, it's knowledge. But what ended up happening was I overcame those perceived boundaries, and pretty easily, and surprised others and myself, and was like, oh, okay, so what can I accomplish? So I've seen it as building a skill set as I've gone along. So seeing opportunity, when opportunity showed up, it doesn't always look like a gift wrapped. Sometimes it was a 67-year-old man that was really grouchy and came from Quebec and runs the plant in a hockey rink. And I had an opportunity to work with this grouchy old man, and found out that he knew exactly what he was doing in so many ways. And because I was inquisitive, he didn't remain a grouchy old man to me. He became my mentor. And the opportunities in not holding on to that belief of who he was, because I didn't have grandpas. They passed before. So I had these work figures as my grandfatherly figures. So in, arenas and plant maintenance, as well as carpentry so I looked up to these men and saw in them great opportunity for knowledge and to develop skills.
But as you began to trust yourself, then it was, you know what I mean, what I could offer. So then you started
Yes,
to, so then he got into massage. So that was the
that was,
first real,
yeah,
like, okay, I'm doing this for me. And then that intuitive self came through a lot more, where he was really connecting to people's higher self. And then from there, our business got shut down in COVID. Long story there, but yeah, then Spirited Rebirth and Herbal Healing with Greg was really birthed into existence, because he, you know,
yes,
we have this to offer, and it really is about people's traumas, and finding that root cause, right? And so that we can really elevate together and unite, right?
yes.
So beautiful. And it's interesting, Robin, talking about these grouchy older figures in our life that come as the mentors and as the teachers. Something that I find mentoring, teaching a lot of, we train yoga teachers and healers in various different courses, but that's the essential parameters, healing and yoga. And to me, they're all healers. But of course, sometimes I have to intercept on people's, and if we're theming it around abundance today, I have to intercept on people's excuses. I have to intercept on people's sabotage programs. I have to intercept on people's limiting belief systems. Also, the victim consciousness is a big one. I'm finding that at the moment en masse, there's this victim consciousness saying, we're not powerful, we can't rise above this tyrannical system. There's not enough for me. Oh, it's okay for you, Carrie, because you know you've whatever the storyline and whatever the tagline that goes with that. It's okay for some, but it's not okay for me. And this deep victim consciousness that's rolling through the collective. It's always been there. I feel like it's amplified at the moment, and perhaps we've got even more reason now to downplay our abundance, because even more than ever, we can blame the government. You know, I can't work, everything's in lockdown, I'm in isolation, the economy's under stress. So again, we have to come back to, well, what is abundance? Because I could, for instance, not even focus on money. I could go into an off-grid New Earth community, and my abundance then is how many beautiful fruits and vegetables can I grow? Leah, I know you grow your own, and you also go to the farmers markets and you bottle fruits in readiness for you guys having a very cold winter, obviously, there in Canada. So that's abundance. But abundance, it's opening all the chakras. You spoke, Robin, about the chakra system, opening all of these receptor sites within us, really to receive. And the law of nature is, as we give, so too shall we receive. It's just there. It's only our limited mind that is blocking that. It's only our sense of, I'm the victim, there's not enough, that is blocking that. And I feel that, again, we've got to almost have that game. I feel like it's a game we need to play with ourselves, because in my view, this whole 3D is a game. It's a game, and we are the creator experiencing our own creation. So what are we going to create? And let's just say, for instance, that the economy goes down and New Earth communities are there, then my abundance does become, well, look how many mangoes I grew. I'm not sure if you have mangoes in Canada. Where I
Wish,
am,
wish.
Yeah.
where I live on the island, there's so many wild fruits that are available. So abundance is always around us. It's just up to us to open our eyes. So I'll hand it over to you, Robin, because I'm sure that you have many clients that you're dealing with that also have that system of excuses or sabotage that's going on. And I know that you can speak a little bit more to what the inner saboteur is all about.
Yes, and I like to refer to that as the ego, and there's multiple levels of the ego, as we're aware. But the one that believes you're the small self divided from source. So you're here against all odds, struggling to make your way, and everything's out there to get you. And that serves a purpose. Because when you're an infant, you do have to look at the world kind of through those eyes for protection. We're not like a deer or a moose where we're walking within hours. We need nurture for a long time. So the ego, um, And I believe that's to protect us from our consciousness. If we had instantly full awareness of where we came from, what we're here for, yet we're stuck in a tiny baby body, how much fun would that be? And how much of a struggle would that be to accept, what, I can't do this, but I'm here to heal people and I'm stuck in this little body. So it would be difficult. So we need a babysitter, an echo of self-identity to be there until we're ready to accept the higher self to really step in. And I call that the ego integration. It's seeing the ego as a loved one that was always there for you, even though it has caused you nothing but grief in its attempts to protect you. So, like you nailed it on the head. It's victim consciousness. The idea that the outer world will harm us creates a scenario in which we need to be defended against it. And then the ego rises to the occasion. Thus, the spirit for the warrior is able to be present. So self-preservation for the individual and to fight for your position. Otherwise, you just find something that you like and you cling to it and say, I'll just be like you all my life because it worked out for you. And I would never look for my own identity, but we all have an individual spirit and flame that we're looking for. But the ego, because it gets accustomed to running the show, it doesn't want to give up control. And our society has certain individuals a long time ago have known these truths and have created structures within all aspects of our civilized society in order to trigger the ego into defensive mode to empower it to be there longer than it should. And this is why we have infantile consciousnesses in a grown-up body, being triggered by their emotions, their base instinctual fears that one should conquer by the time they're 12 or 13, given the correct parenting. That's the potentials for
Correct
human.
guiding.
Yeah,
guiding.
and guiding. Yes.
And you guys you've got 3 children. So Leah, what are some of your insights as a mother, or for you both as parents, to guide, to usher your children through with this awareness that they are abundant in nature?
Yeah, we definitely, with our awarenesses, it definitely helps. And I like to say that we are guiding them, because I don't want to be the one shutting down their creative side and shutting down what they believe to be their purpose to be for being here. It's a fine line, obviously. And we have our good days and our bad, but just approaching everything and just really giving them a safe space, giving them that place to be heard. I think that's a really big thing that society likes to shut them down and tell them which way to go and how to act and how to be and how to get in line. And I think it's really important that we allow them to be who they are and really express themselves. Because they are the new leaders, right? This new world is being birthed, and they are the ones that are going to really push this forward. And the more that we can, keep them out of the control systems and the fear, and have them come through life without all these traumas, right? They're so with it. Like they teach me every day, and yes, they take it's a lot of work, but that's what we signed up for. And I see that in mothers, that's an excuse. And I used to say it, well, I'm a mother, and I'm too busy and it's too much. But we asked for this, and stepping into that role in full is what I've really over the past like two years, especially with our business, taking a back seat. It is why we're here. It truly, I'm so grateful to have them and our 4 dogs. They keep us busy and entertained, And it's beautiful, you know, it's beautiful. Robin and I always say that we have this much love to give, and to share, because we're allowed to have this much abundance. And there is no limit. Like, you know, we used to put limits, and we'll never have more than 2 dogs. Well, my uncle passed away, and it's like, what do? You take their 2 dogs. Like, you take his 2 dogs, where are they gonna go? And like, we never ever would have imagined a life like this, but we, you know, everybody's got a dog, and we're all walking down the street, and it's you know. And I just, as individuals, we have to fully step into our power. You know, like, you don't have to use the motherhood victim consciousness to put you first. Like, you can figure that out, you know. And you do come first. Like, we have to do this on an individual level so that we can all really heal and head in this direction. Because if we don't do the work ourselves, how do we expect another person to do it? Right?
Yeah. Beautiful, Leah. And really, that is such a key code, what you just said, to put ourselves first. And of course, in the inverted reality and the control measures that you so well mentioned, Robin, is that we are being shown that we've got to do everything for the greater good. And so this inverted reality, this archon force, this mind virus, if you like, is very manipulative. It pulls at the human heartstrings because humans do have huge hearts. It's something that we embody. We are feeling creatures. And so they pull at the heartstrings and they say, do this for the greater good. And of course, when we're trying to fix everyone else out there and put ourselves last, we become empty. So it's the opposite of abundance. So the antidote is exactly what you said, Leah, is to put self first. Now, that may, to begin with, for people who are just new to these consciousness concepts, they may consider that that's being selfish. But when they realize that their job, their divine duty, is to fill their own cup until their cup overflows, and it's the overflow of energy, and it's an perpetual overflow once you become the master of self, that is what creates the healing and the excess energy, I guess, to support other people on their consciousness journey. But when and mothers know this, and I believe it's the mother wolf, she will always feed herself first before she feeds her babies, knowing that wisdom, all the codes are there in nature, knowing that she needs to stay strong to feed her babies. And so it's the highest perspective, and we have to be very, very aware of these nefarious forces that are around us, telling us to sacrifice ourselves for our neighbor, for our work colleague, for our parents, for our children. Sounds good on paper. When you go a little bit deeper, it's like, how can that serve anyone? Because that means that we all collapse together. We all become lambs to the slaughter together. Or the antidote would be we all rise together. What's curious for me at the moment is that we're moving into the age of Aquarius from the age of Pisces, where it was synonymous with the man sitting on top of the perch, you know, ruling from above, and then moving into the age of Aquarius, which we think of the hippies and hair, and, you know, you probably danced to it back in the day, Leah. So we might improv today. You know, we're coming into this age of Aquarius where you think about the love and peace movement, where we're all holding hands and we all move through ascension together. Now, that really is greater good, or maybe we can't use that word anymore. We've got to say higher good. So we have to be mindful. But just moving on from what you said, Robin, it was so awesome. And I've also been feeling like I want to thank these controllers lately. I want to thank them because without them, I wouldn't have activated so much. And I feel like we're pushing the ceiling even further of where we may have had this ceiling over us of, you know, I thought I was a great manifester, but I was still limiting myself. And what they're showing me is that, oh, if they're going to come at me with such evil and such nefarious intent, I'm going to go even higher. I'm going to kick up my supernatural powers to another level. I am going to like even wow myself in what I can create in terms of manifestation and abundance. So do you want to speak to that, Robin? Are you experiencing the same thing in your life?
Yes, Carrie, you've got the key right there to disassembling the network of nefarious consciousness out there. It is to meet it with gratuity and love. and it will have served its purpose. That will undo it, because the one thing the ego cannot tolerate is acceptance and love. It thrives off of rejection and hatred and resentment. And that's empowering the shadow self. So the more it comes at you, it can be a few things. I've experienced it as it's highlighting the potential for light within someone, because we never give ourselves more than we can handle. It's a misinterpretation of how the energy is coming in that we see it as an assault or interpret it as something very negative. Losing a job, our studio getting shut down. And it really became embracing it and allowing a shift. If we would have held on and fought the system through it, we could have done that. That would have been one timeline. But we understood it's not the type of business that we want to put other people's children in our studio and say we're doing this without masks, or we're getting reported or fighting fines. We didn't believe this was an appropriate business to go to war with government or regulatory bodies with.
Well, there's things that you can control, right? And
Yes.
there's what you can control, and that's you. And we decided to collapse timelines, like literally collapse timelines, and live our highest potential, because fighting the system through our business right now is not working. It's not going to work.
It would have kept
right.
us
And I
attached
think
to it.
that's the key that we all need to be doing right now, is actually looking at, what is your highest potential, no limit? Like, what do you see freedom as?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Freedom to do your spiritual work, freedom to be there for your family, freedom to, but you have to drop the labels and the boxes, and you have to step out of those boxes, and then step out of the bigger boxes, and then the bigger boxes. Like you have to be brave enough to do that for yourself. And then as you do that, that's the way your light can shine. And that's the way you become that beacon of light. For everybody to really to magnetize. And
it's triggered Leah's growth, because it's given her the time to put herself first, to see who she was in the past, and how she had put everyone else first.
And it wasn't in a negative way. Like I was being a great, beautiful, I was being an awesome person the whole time. I was teaching to the point that, and these little, pats on the back. My daughter's doing, she doesn't stop talking about you. Oh, Robin, we got 50 new clients. People are driving an hour from here. All of these reasons that you can just keep patting yourself on the back and driving yourself into a wall. You're not like, you're coming home totally empty. I love what I do. I love my connections. And dancing and empowering kids and my students. That was why I do what I do. I'm not teaching dance. I'm teaching them to be the best person they can be, and getting them to be present in that moment. But I allowed the masculine part of it to take over and ride that wave of just, I was working 60 hours a week.
More is success.
With 3 young kids at home, and more is more. Yeah, I wanted more, and I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And this space and this time has really just allowed me to just set my gear, and it's about me. And I am seeing it now. I am seeing that. And it's a fire. It's a fire within I am limitless. I truly am. And my kids are thriving. Like our relationship is thriving, we're happy. And from the outside perspective, a lot of people would look like, well, their studio just like disappeared. Like most people wouldn't be okay with what's gone on, but it's really stepping out of that victimhood, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was about to say that it again comes back to how you perceive whatever life is presenting for you. It's I like the word you said before, Robin, gratuitous. Either we're gracious and we're grateful for what's been shown to us, or we can be the victim. It really comes down to those two choices, always, in every single now moment. And one will spiral you into depression and anxiety, and it's not fair. And the other one, and it's okay to wallow in that space for a while, and you can catch yourself in that space and say, okay, I could choose to stay here, or I can rise out of this. And the other one is the upward spiral, where you see new possibilities and you see new perspectives, and you've got a higher vista of what's happening, like you've just so beautifully described, Leah. I too, even though our business definitely wobbled to begin with in March of 2020, when we went into a 3-month lockdown. Our studios were closed down. We were fortunate we had online programs already at that point, and I had trusted my intuition quite a few years before, even though we got heavily targeted by the yoga industry for going online, told that that's not yoga. But I had to be true to myself, because I was experiencing burnout. So I completely relate to what you're talking about. I had never learned how not to give everything when I was in person with students, and particularly with our trainees, because they're on that deeper consciousness journey, and I want to ensure that they're going to thrive in that space. So I had to learn some really tough lessons around where my personal boundaries were. And so online was a great way that we could continue to share this consciousness journey, share the essential nature of what the yoga path is about from a very deeply spiritual perspective, but use the online technology. And I'm so grateful that I listened to that intuition despite all the resistance, because it really meant that we were okay. We could get through. Now, if I had to lose the whole business, that would be a perfect experience as well. I've gone so far into the timeline that if I end up living in a teepee by a stream, that was my higher self guiding the process the whole time.
Yeah.
Would I gnash my teeth and tear out my hair? Probably. Would I carry on and stomp the floor? Yep, absolutely I would. But there's always the opportunity to meditate through it and say, okay, I am creating my own reality. I secretly wanted this, even if I hadn't admitted it to myself, that I needed that space. I needed, to fill my own cup. So wherever we're swung around in life, seemingly it's not fair at times, but then, as you've just spoken to, you possibly would have experienced burnout. Your body may have just shut down one day, and you would have gone, but why? I love my students. I love teaching dance. I love these children. I love everything that I'm doing. But your body, with its divine intelligence, is saying, we need to stop. So what is abundance? And this is the curious discussion that we're having, because abundance is when the soul is nourished. When the soul is nourished, the magnetic effects is that whether we want to call it cash, money, wealth, prosperity, abundance of food, abundance of time, abundance of playfulness, abundance of love, that is all brought to us. It just simply has to be.
It's all energy, right?
Yeah. You also mentioned masculine energy, and it was in our description to speak to this. I'll go back to Robin again, because I know you've got that depth, Robin, when it comes to this, what this consciousness is about. And we have that masculine approach often to business. We're taught, oh, well, that's what you do. Masculinity is very much about structure and penetration. You think of the tantric aspects of yin and yang, feminine and masculine. The masculine will penetrate always. That is the even in the sexual side of it, that is the force of the masculine, and it's perfect and it's beautiful. But it has to be in equal measure with the feminine, that is receptive and creative. So what are you finding at the moment, Robin, with your amazing business and all the work that you're doing with people and keeping your personal balance with masculine and feminine energy?
Well, yes, that's a story of abundance. Myself and Greg coming together. That's been the highest timeline for us to experience was not to have the studio for 20 years. We would have learned and loved and had a lot of success, but we did in the 6 years we ran it, and we learned the lessons within those 6 years. And by having it at risk. And like you said, looking at the worst timeline, like what if I'm by a stream with a teepee? By looking at that and saying, you know what, okay, if I'm there, so be it. I have no attachment or fear to it. So you just eliminated that as a teacher, as a potential professor to walk into your existence and say, here is where you're going to discover the most about yourself, because you already did it in your imagination. And that's the gift of the inner child that gets shut off right away due to masculinity. The inner child is what if, whereas, yes, the masculine is like, no, you don't do what ifs, it's what is. It's be focused, be on point, not be encompassing the point from all directions. It's be the point. So there's so we get separated from self, because the inner child is very connected to its femininity, because it understands it's part of nature. It's to explore nature. My body is for interacting. And interacting is how I learn. Whereas the left brain takes everything, because there's so much to account for, and makes symbols for it, and then can put it in a book, and say this is this and this is that, and then you don't have to travel to the Arctic, you don't have to travel to a jungle. It can be all represented in a book. So that's a more efficient way of digesting this information. We shouldn't sail and travel as a youngster. We should be in school, stapled to a desk. And then when we travel to these amazing places and go to the pyramids, we want to climb it. The inner child says, I want to climb that. But the body says, dude, you're 70. You've got a fake knee. You need a cane. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
And that's when we're allowed to do that, when we're retired. Retired from what? Servitude. Servitude equals, well, God approves of you. What God approves of you when you serve him. Father aspect of God, we are worshiping. And it has... the negative of that is seeing the feminine as the opposite, therefore the evil. So a positive sees the negative as bad. So if it's grounded, if it's intuitive, if it's of love and doesn't have definition, if it's chi energy flowing through you that we can't really measure or control, that's what they're really about. The masculine is about control, therefore safe. When everything's controlled, it's safe. When the feminine is intact, it's when everything is self-realized, nothing is in lack. And
it's amazing actually witnessing the trust in the universe that Robin and Greg have, because they built that business, and the clients are a whole different clientele than what Robin was attracting in shape. In our business, it's people that are on the journey, and they just, you know, like you can speak to that, but you know, there's the awareness of who they are. They're on the journey. It's just that they need that little, they've got blocks. Maybe there's a past life. Their higher self has a message. They need an herbal protocol, and Greg is just so proficient, so amazing at that. And it just synergistically works, both like his protocol and Greg's together. And it's just a beautiful uniting, so that the clients that are coming out of there are just, you know, it's just exponential, their growth. Like it's immediate. And it's, I mean, the comments they get back is just like, you know, I'm just so glad I took that leap. And that's that trust, right? Like you trust in yourself, and you trust that you are worth that. And the universe provides, and it provides you with so much in return. And I think that's, you know, like, that's where we have to get to, that we're trusting in every step of the way, you know, because everything is just energy, everything. And it's a game.
Yes.
You know,
It really is. Yeah, and to attract those soulmate clients, and what a profound gift to work with people who are truly wanting to do the inner work, and that between you and Greg, you've got the two energies going. So the herbal is more really of the earth, isn't it? And you're, I mean, I know you both do both, but and then Robin, you're coming in really with the cosmic downloads and the spiritual wisdom. So heaven and earth merging together, and we're all the holy conduit, able to receive those gifts from below and from above, and to have these beautiful mentors and guides. Sometimes we need assistance. We spoke earlier, Robin, you spoke about not having a father that believed in you. So sometimes we need to go outside of our small family unit or our friendship circle, because if everyone's poo-pooing what it is that you're dreaming of and envisioning, and they're playing it down, you've really got to remove yourself from that narrative and be surrounded with people that are going to raise you up and say anything is possible. There is no limitation, that we are creative beings. One day we'll remember that we could even fly, and the human 3D mind will say, oh, you're speaking gobbledygook, you're going all like woo woo again, like that's not possible. Well, I'm curious, why do we have terms in our language, teleportation, telekinesis, levitation? Why are these words and concepts known to us if they weren't true at some point in our consciousness journey? Why are we encoded with that knowing if we're not able to remember, put self back together again, that we're capable of anything? And if we are all God, goddess incarnate, well, of course there'd be no limitation. So and so really abundance, we're talking abundance code today. That's just the basics. To me, that's just 101. You are abundant. Get over it. Accept it. And get on with learning to fly. Like, come on, we've got more to do. So it's beautiful what you guys are doing. And I want to speak to the Earthside tribe that really has formed, I guess, since 2020. There's many of us that I know we knew each other from some other time. We call it past lives, we call it star homes, doesn't really matter. They're all just human words. But there's this knowing of each other, and this drawing together again across. It's almost like on the song lines or the ley lines through the earth, there's all these grid points, and then all these star beings are popping up going, hey, remember who you are. Let's do this now. We are the new leadership. We are the new media. We're going to do this. And again, we've got to say, hey, thanks to that dark tyrannical side, because without you showing your hand, I probably would have just kept bopping along and maybe binding into that 3D life of, ho-hum, all good. It was all good, but wow, there's just so much more. So expanded realities. I'll hand it back to whoever wants to speak to that. And who's from here?
Yeah, but and I'm so grateful for the technology that we've got to be able to connect in the ways we have. Like, I haven't met anybody that I'm speaking to on a daily basis in person, it's just been a wonderful movement in that way, how we've come together. Because and honestly, it's been amazing watching Greg and Robin's journey through these sessions, because like Robin's like, how am I going to do this through a screen? Like, he knew he could do it. Like, there's that trust, right? So that first session was like, let's see, like, and it's happening, like every time they come out and they're like, that was amazing. That was amazing. And Harms, she just came on. Like, I had a healing session with her last week, and it's through a screen, and I have never felt so light after that kind of session. I mean, I was just, Robin can say, like, I was a different person immediately after. She's a beautiful being. So all of these beautiful gifts that everybody has, like, we're able to really connect in ways that we couldn't before,
And it's empowering each other to live our truths, to reinforce each other that you are a part of a greater community, and that is satisfying to the divine feminine within us all. It's for myself and Greg, we're comfortable with each other. We share our feelings. We're support for each other. This is how men should be for each other, not too ashamed. And it really was shame and guilt that prevented me from really accepting my gifts, and believed I needed to work as a body practitioner to fix their bodies. And second on the list was heal their soul. But I would say, I'm a massage therapist, come in, but you get this and this type of deal. And people would love it, but primarily they came there because they had something in their body that was really bad, and doctors, no one could figure it out, so they would come to see me. And yeah, 2 sessions and her thumb's working again, and her family's outfitted her with all this automatic stuff, and because she's just got to live with it, thumb braces and medications and surgery, and it's like, no, you got no nerve function to it. Here, let me get that going. So it was a real gift to witness myself doing the work and build confidence. But stepping out of that, like Leah would hear me, I'd say, like, I feel like my gifts are, I'm almost misdirecting them, and it was due to my guilt and shame. I wasn't opening up to say, you know what, I should just be saying outright,
I'm a healer, you know.
People on the oneness consciousness journey, if you're looking for, yes, to understand why you're here, searching for self-purpose, like, let's kick it off. This is the initiatory rites, is what I've been training for a lot of lifetimes, since I've been in the know that consciousness is the game. So I've been pursuing this, and shame and guilt.
Initiatory rites. Wow. Tell me more about the initiatory rites, Robin, for those who
yes.
understand.
So this is what the dark side has kept secret, and it's been the occult, and hidden from us. And they promise that if you get on board with them, that's the way to get there. That's the only way to get there. But in going there, you achieve the exact opposite. You become disempowered, and you start powering a different form of consciousness. So the archons, you get another consciousness participating with you, and with enough opening your chakras, it will start to supplant you, and you will witness what it does through you, and you will appear to be bipolar to others, or worse,
if you're not healing properly.
Yeah. So that's why there's individuals out there that can go to barbecues and do fundraisers, and they're the most loving, generous person. But then when they're triggered and in their off hours, they can be a total misrepresentation of what humans should be, as far as I'll go. So that potential is there within everyone, if they do not grasp what they're here for. If they don't allow their higher self to come in and possess all you are, through opening your heart to the true you, not a God outside of you that makes promises, because the outside energy, it is the trickster. It will represent itself as any way it can, because its succeeding is you tripping and falling on your face. And then it succeeds by tripping you up, because that's how we learn.
There's so many traps
duality.
in ascension, right?
Yes. So once you get good at recognizing, oh, my ego is there to trip me up. So when it says I can't do this, it's the key to asking, why do I believe? Why does my ego tell me this? Is it true? And then we look inside for that answer and say, is it true? And it's like, no, it's not true. It's an idea based on a belief that's attached to, oh, who's that voice? Oh, okay. Yep, that's my mom's voice. And it goes back to when I was 5. And no, you can't do that. It's too dangerous.
So what are the initiatory rites?
So, yes. So the initiatory rites involves going on that journey down and inward. Our consciousness is seated in our head, unfortunately. When we start out here, that's the ego. Yeah, fortunately, because we see the world dually. good and bad, and we learn to identify hot and cold. It's a learning mechanism. But I believe in tribal societies, when you were born, you spent the majority of the time with mothers and grandmothers as children, while men were doing men stuff, which were the masculine initiations and integrations. Whereas a child, you're all about emotions, feelings, tactile sensation. So a young mother may prevent a child from learning through pain. And then the child develops a fear of things. Whereas the grandmother would say, "Hey, sweetie, no, just watch. It's okay. I know it hurts to watch your child in pain, but just watch, and then you don't have to worry about them ever again." And then the kid touches the hot rock and and cries, and then you go and console, and then knows I'm safe with the mother. Hot rocks are bad. But yelling at them and putting them into a state of shock or panic and adrenal response around a hot rock, a young mother may think that's a good thing, because you're training them to be not susceptible to injury. But now they freeze up whenever fear or whenever something threatening is around, where the grandmother understands, yeah, better a hot rock than a 40-mile-an-hour bus to experience the lesson.
So we apply that.
So the mothers and grandmothers would be there together, and the mothers would learn how to be a grandmother. And we were supported in society. And when the child got to a certain age, the child would be emotionally integrated. When they had a fight, the grandmother would say, "No, wait, just watch. Let them sort it out." And they're both fall on their bums and they're both crying. And now they understand, hey, this isn't cool. I don't want to be this person anymore. I want to interact with my brother or sister or fellow mates in a different manner. Grabbing from them isn't nice. Now I learn to ask politely. And then you're learning from your emotions safely with the mother, grounding them. You're allowed to fail over and over and over again. That's the point of exploring your emotions, is to be okay with the painful ones and learn.
I love it.
Yeah. And learn it doesn't have to remain painful.
What did you say,
Yes.
Carrie?
Oh, direct experience and exploring this reality on our own terms. So it becomes our own truth, our own direct knowing, as opposed to these rules and regulations. And I love what you said, Robin, about like that kicking the adrenals up. So that right away, we're in sympathetic nervous system, we're in fight or flight or freeze. And so if we're carrying that code with us then for the rest of our day as well. That's why, again, you know, as you're alluding to, we're so susceptible then to being controlled, because once that fear is activated, well, we're always looking outside of ourselves for the answer.
Yeah. Someone to scoop us up. Yeah. And make us feel safe. Because it's still about nurturing the feelings. When if we had just learned it's a hot rock, it burned, it hurt. My mom supported me and we nurtured it, and I'm connected more with my mom now. And I learned the lesson about the hot rock. So it's left in the past. It's gnosis for the child. They know about safety, but it's not a trauma that gets triggered later on. Like if they burn themselves again, they just go, "Ow, that was stupid of me."
I love it. And of course, the eternal mother is Mother Earth. So it's microcosm, macrocosm. So she's going to let us, what I'm getting from what you're saying, she's going to let us make as many mistakes as we need to until we learn. And she's infinitely patient. She'll always be there for us. And boy, are we seeing some people, you know, making some interesting choices at the moment.
Yeah.
And I guess the wisdom that I'm gaining from what you've just said is that we all become the mother in holding space for each other to go down those lower roads, for want of a better term. And you know, if people need to jab, mask, whatever they need to do, get sick as a result, even cross over as a result, because in my mind there is no death, we're just eternal energy. that it's okay. This is the realm where everything's allowed. It's a free will planet. The mother is always there and always available to pick us up. And, we learn through direct experience. And so that's really helped me actually, Robin, because it's clarified what's going on at the moment. And that whilst we'll continue to speak to the alternative, to the mainstream, or the antidote to what's being offered through the mainstream narrative, that we also need to hold space with that motherly energy, that it's okay. It's okay whatever anyone needs to do, because depending on where they are on the continuum of consciousness, they may simply just need to learn through a limiting experience that the rock was hot. Oh, okay. I've burnt my hand. I had the inoculation. I don't feel well. I gave my soul up to something outside of myself. Now I know. Now I know. And a beautiful psychic friend of mine, Raylene Brady, she's been on the podcast a couple of times. She speaks to the fact that with our DNA code, yes, it's being overwritten at the moment with a lot of these inoculations. But when something's overwritten, it can always be almost like erased. It can always be rubbed out. As soon as you're ready for a consciousness shift, it can be erased, so that the primal code, the true God code within us, will always be there. It can never be corrupted. And that helps me a lot at the moment as well, that we can't be corrupted. We can go down certain pathways to wake ourselves up, and boy, well, we're seeing en masse. It's like, wow, yeah.
One of Robin's biggest things, whatever you need to keep you or what is it? Whatever you need to make you feel safe, like it's just literally that, because we all have free will. And
and safe maybe not facing the traumas. Safe maybe saving that for next lifetime, when there's support systems, our children offering businesses for them to incarnate and say, hey, yeah, I know I'm from the past life and I got some regrets. Where do I sign up? So they'll remember, like I remembered from my past lives, events that scarred my soul. And that's the traumas are what triggered me. I want to share that when I found God, it was being broken. It was me being down in the very pits. And that happened after Leah and I parted ways, and I said, we can't be together anymore. I don't know why. I'm sorry. And I was filled with shame, but then my health, because of the MMR booster, I almost lost I lost my physical life. So it was the death of the ego's identity of Robin, everything he identified with in his life,
labels,
building, what I thought I was, everything I lost. I wasn't a fast runner. I couldn't jump anymore. I couldn't think. I couldn't remember things. Whereas before I was everything I wanted to be. It was easy. So losing my body, I was still in there. And it brought me to a night where I said, God, Jesus, you better show me why I'm going through this, because I cannot see myself living a life with this much pain. And being an insomniac, a couple months into that year, not wanting to be present, because what's the point of waking up and feeling worse than when you went to bed, and that happening every day, and wondering how much more can I handle. So I asked, why am I going through this? And I had a different kind of dream before. I was having nightmares, which were past life memories, because I had a physical trauma. My vortices were shocked into opening through the adrenals, because I was running on that all the time, and my body being under attack by its own immune system. So past memories and traumas were all flooding through in the dream state. And I found, when I finally shared a nightmare, my sister's tearing up, and she says, yes, I'm the little girl in that, and I'm having the same dream. And we're like, okay, oh my gosh. Yeah, there's something more to this. So I realized all my dreams were actually past incarnations, and it was the ones that ended in trauma. And it was never that I lost my body, it was that I had a regret, that I held on to something that I wanted to do. I made a promise and I couldn't be there to fulfill it. Or the biggest one was I had to accept that I was one of the people sent for the ones known as the Essenes, that were teaching the initiatory rites outside of culture. I was one of the guys sent to get rid of the terrorists. So I was a dutiful Roman military general, and with a fraction of my legion was sent after Essenes, because they were changing how people thought, and they'd quit paying their taxes, and they'd kick out the money lenders, and this was bad for the business in the empire. So
Robin and Greg also figured out that they've shared a past life of,
it was in
of
Rome,
this teaching as well.
and coming across the sacred teachings.
Yeah.
So we studied our enemy and what they were teaching.
It's so important that everyone claims who they are at the moment and has, trust that past life recall. It will come through the imaginative process. But as we always teach, that is showing you the way. We need to learn that the third eye will come up with symbols, pictures, sometimes a running movie, sometimes the messages come from someone outside of yourself, but we need to trust that inner knowing and that past life recall of who you were then and what the mission continues on. Of course, that mission will continue on into the next lifetime and the next lifetime and so on and so forth. It feels like we're at a crescendo point with the particular lifetime that we're having, that we are definitely moving into a golden age. And so it is vital that everyone accepts that they are an ascended master. Anyone listening here, you have that code within you. You are the ascended masters. You are the Essenes. You are the galactic warriors. Whatever term, we use human language, doesn't really matter, but it's a knowing, it's a code, it's a vibration that has activated, may have activated when you were born. It may have activated again when you were in your teens, and I guarantee it's activated a lot more for us all in 2020. It was a big activation point for us all. So there's no ego in claiming that, in knowing that, because if you don't claim it, if you don't know it, how are you going to continue on with the mission that you have volunteered to come here and do? So really listen to what Robin is saying and take that in. If you can't take it in with your left brain, well, we don't want to use the left brain anymore anyway. Take it in with your cells, take it in with your DNA, take it in with your chakras, take it in with your knowing. Yeah, I'll put this comment up. Galactic Greg, we are the ones we've been waiting for. Absolutely. That's a key code right there. We are that. And I understand for many people, they feel that that's maybe having delusions of grandeur. So we have to even go past that. You have to go past the ego that thinks that you're a chosen one or you're better than anyone else. It's not about that at all. It's about knowing and being true to the mission that you came here to fulfill, because I don't choose to allow these Archon forces to have their way. I don't choose it. I'm not participating in that. And when it gets down to that, what we find out what they're doing to our precious children in these tunnel systems and child sex trafficking, I tell you what, anyone with decency in their heart will step up in the highest way, and it's meant to activate us. We're not meant to sit there going, well, I'm powerless, I can't do anything. No, we are all powerful beyond all measure. And if you need that to activate you, then activate now. Do it now for, I'm going to use the word greater good. It's been hijacked, but do it for the greater good. Do it for the highest good of humanity and the collective consciousness. Yeah.
Because we aren't our traumas. We have to get past that. They happened, but you're not your story. You have to drop the stories and live each day with knowing, do I have regrets in this moment? If I died right now, would I have regrets that are going to bring me back and start the cycle all over again? Because if you're living with that, you really have some soul searching to do, and you really have some trauma to heal. And that's exactly what, what Greg and Robin do. You definitely can do it on your own. We all have our work to do, our inner work. But they'll help you with those. We can have blocks or things that we can't see from a certain angle or whatever questions, and they really help in that way. But that's where I'm at anyway. I'm just like, I'm done. I am so beyond, like, I didn't even vote. I'm like, I don't play in that. I don't play in that. I'm this a game. I have no control over that. What I have control over is this, me and what's going on in my field. And that's all, that's what I can do. That's what I can do for the collective and for all of us. And if, that's
we need an I'm done dance, Leah. I need you to choreograph that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dun dun dun.
See some soul mama coming out in you there. And it's interesting because as Leah and I know, because we love dancing and movement, Susanna, and I'm sure you know as well, Robin, that it's all light language. Some people do speak light language, but you can speak light language through the way that you move your body. So all of this kind of thing, anyone listening on the podcast, I'm doing some soul mama dance movements right now. It's so important, flick that energy. Just say, I'm not, as you said, no, I'm done. I'm not participating. I'm starving it. I'm not giving it my attention. You don't exist to me. And this is where we pave a new reality, because we put our focus and our energy in what it is that we're choosing to create. So just coming to time, there's the website galacticinnature.com. That is the soulful, beautiful business of Robin Nordling and Galactic Greg. Galactic Greg has been on our podcast a couple of times as well. We're going to have him back in the near future. Many of you know Greg and Robin from their, I believe it's Greg's YouTube channel actually. And but Robin, you're a star player in those shows. So check out Galactic Greg's YouTube channel as well. And if you need support with herbal healing, with consciousness development, go and sign up. I believe you've got a Patreon page so people can have a membership type set up, and they can choose which membership level and depending on their needs.
And win a free session once a month.
Yeah, we actually just did that one this morning.
That was beautiful.
With a great client. Yeah. So our abundance is already your guys' generosity and enthusiasm. It's made it able for us to translate it back and yes, allow spirit and God to intervene in who receives the winning one. And that was a beautiful affirmation for that individual, that yes, their worthiness is important, and all of you guys are so important. It's not important to hold on to the pain. That's where we come from. It's what shaped us. It's where we're choosing to go from the heart. So yes, the journey inward, we're integrating all of those pains as we go down. And yeah, you're going to find God down there, guys, and your connection to that source. That's the only way you really attain peace in this world. Otherwise, it's illusions and narratives. So that may keep you going, but it won't light your fire at the end of the day. So yeah,
love it.
Used to be and help in this journey. Yeah,
grateful to share time with you, Carrie. It's you're such a blessing, and I thank you for all you're doing within your community, and then for humanity. It's beautiful. I got little shivers when I saw Zoe watching too.
Oh,
we're building momentum, everyone. Keep it up. Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, can I just say thank you so much to you both, beautiful, wise souls, so much authenticity, so much integrity in everything that you do. Thank you for being those pillars of light there in your local community, because it is about earth, these earth grid lines and everything that's happening on that level. But of course, the online community as well that we've all formed together, supporting so many. And I love that no one's the leader. We're all the leaders. Again, back to that age of Aquarius. We don't have to put anyone on the pedestal. Anyone listening today as well may feel that, oh, who am I to be a leader in this movement? You absolutely are a leader in this movement. We watch your stories, we look at your comments, you teach us as much. It is a shared leadership here. And just to come back to our final theme again about abundance, when you know that you're enough, when you know that you are that ascended being, you are that creator energy experiencing your own creation. Yes, in a third dimensional template, but that is only the beginning, really. There's so much more that we're here to explore. Mother Earth herself, astrologically, it's not woo-woo, astrologically, she is moving into a new upgrade. We'll call it fifth dimensional consciousness, unconditional love, unconditional compassion, unconditional forgiveness, unconditional realm of all that is good and holy. And this is where we're going for those that choose it. Some will choose 3D because, as Robin spoke to before, that may be what makes them feel safe, and that's okay. That's perfect as well. There is no right, wrong, good nor bad. This is just simply what is. And I celebrate all the beautiful people, yourselves, Robin and Leah, the beautiful people that are chiming in here. And let's keep this upgrade going, and let's just receive abundance, because it is our true divine nature. So thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll have you back soon, guys. Much love.
Too. Yes. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, Carrie. And bye, everyone.
Bye.